Hello, everybody. Autumn here again for another Passion Project interview. I'm so excited. Let's see what she's up to. Go ahead and introduce yourself, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Ava Mitchell. I am the National American Miss Arkansas Teen, and I was just crowned this weekend, which is super exciting. But I am also from Centerton, Arkansas, and I am a lover of the arts as well.
Very, very cool. And thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate your time, and we'll get started. So, I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about passion projects and the arts, obviously. And as you know, my passion project has to do with arts advocacy, much as yours does. So, I want to hear more about the arts in your life.
So I've been a member of choir since I was in eighth grade, and that's been super fun because I've been able to be a part of all region and all state. And I've also sang a lot of solos within my choirs, which has been super fun. I also have been able to sing the national anthem at several events and just really share how music has been a part of my life. I started Arts for Alzheimer's whenever I was in ninth grade, and I didn't really have a plan formed until 2019, which was 2 years later. But it stemmed from my grandmother who had Alzheimer's for 14 years, and she really loved music so much so that it was the last thing to go. In her last couple of days, she sang and hummed and just I don't know, she was super into music and her last couple of days, so she had a really good time with that in her life before she was really affected by Alzheimer's all too much.
Yeah. And no, that's astounding. And we will talk more about that. But first, I have a couple more questions for you pertaining to your choir experience. What made you want to start choir in the first place?
Well, I was in music class in fifth grade, and that was really the most advanced thing that we could do, and it wasn't all too advanced, but I wanted to challenge myself more because I've always been the type of student who wants to seek out the most challenging classes, who wants to overload myself almost with the amount of work that I have to do. And I just found myself loving choir from sixth grade on. So here I am today. I'm hopefully going to join the choirs at the University of Arkansas, but we'll see.
Good luck. I'm sure
Thank
you'll be
you.
fine. And I'm sure you'll get into it. And even if you don't, then you'll find another realm to kind of load
Mhm.
that love into.
Yeah.
Spectacular. So, what about music pulls you back? What
I think it's so unique, each piece of music is, and there's lots of different genres, obviously, and each one can speak to somebody in a different way. Like, I love Christian music whenever I wake up in the morning. It just kind of wakes me up and gets me going. But then I also love pop and stuff to sing in the car on my way to work or school or whatever. And I think that it's just so cool how music was one of the last things to go, like I had mentioned for my grandmother. And I mean, come on, she forgot her family before she forgot how to sing. So I wanted to really explore that and see how music can affect people whether they have Alzheimer's or not.
No, definitely. It's super interesting how music does have that unique lasting effect, unlike anything else. So, how do you think being involved in that form of art has truly impacted your life?
I think that choir is a unique form of art because it's art, it's music, but it's also like a team sport almost. I mean, you have your altos, tenors, sopranos, and basses, and each part can have its own sub part, and they all work together to try to make the piece sound as best as it possibly can. So, for people who aren't as athletic as maybe others are, they can really go find that love of music and do that. And the same applies for orchestra and band as well.
No, I completely agree. And honestly, I would say that in my personal time of having solo voice lessons versus being a part of a choir, I think like being a part of that group chorus always brings out the best in the individual's voice.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Well, like with anything, there are people who have different gifts that they can bring to the world. There are people who are loud, there are people who are soft, and there are different aspects of music that can bring out those different parts of people. Like I have a good vibrato, but in some points that there might not be a need for vibrato, or it might sound better with a straight tone. And there are people who can really bring that out in every single part of music.
It's very interesting. I've always just kind of wondered that because right now I'm doing Grease rehearsals, and
Ooh.
for the last year, not being involved in really voice or community theater, I've been singing to indie boy bands in the alto tenor range. And then I get to Grease and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a soprano.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sing with the group and it feels really great. So, again, point being, it's just amazing what music can do.
It
Um,
is.
what do you think your life would be like without that art?
I mean, I really don't think it would be as full. I said in my introduction for National American Miss that I have big dreams in art and big aspirations in STEM, and both of those things are equally important in my life. I really, really want to go into the healthcare field, but I also feel like music is a huge part of my life that I'm never going to be willing to give up. And I think that that applies to everyone else as well.
Completely agree. And the best part is, you don't really have to. What field do you really want to dive into?
I don't know. Right now, I'm going to go in as a biochem major, but I'm sure that'll change just like everybody else's does. So we'll see.
There's always that possibility. Well, I wish you luck with that.
Thank
Now,
you.
you're welcome. Now, I say enough about my platform, but we're going to kind of roll around the same page. Please explain your platform.
So, Arts for Alzheimer's is, like I said, something I really finalized in 2019 with all of my plans and things. And I've done a couple interviews about it and just talking about how not only is Arts for Alzheimer's an advocacy organization, but it's also where I can go try to bring music therapy to Alzheimer's patients, which is something that's been super fun to do. I am the advocacy and missions chair for the Northwest Arkansas Alzheimer's Committee, and I've kind of used both of those platforms of mine to amplify my voice and try to make the Alzheimer's world be better in every way that it can. So it's been a really fun journey, and I'm really excited as the Arkansas teen to be able to do more with it.
That's spectacular. And I'm so excited for your opportunity with this. And I'm so sorry. Congratulations, by
Thank
the
you.
way. Didn't you give up your state title and basically trade it in for the All American title?
Pretty much. Yeah, I gave my state title up in 2020 in October. And then I went the fast pass route through NAM and I went to nationals again where I got top 12. Thank the Lord, because I didn't know if I would do that or not in a new division. But then I went and I won the team title again. So I'm super excited.
I'm very excited for you. That's fantastic. And you're going to have such a
Yeah.
fun year.
Thank you. And you have a title of your own.
I do. I do. I am USA National Miss Oklahoma's Teen. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's been super fun so far. And I'm super excited because I am preparing for nationals, which
Hmm.
is only a matter of weeks away. I
Oh
leave
my gosh.
July 1st for
That's,
Orlando, Florida, which is so funny because I competed in NAM last year in the same place. So,
that's awesome.
right? It's exciting. I'm excited. But yeah. So please tell me, you already mentioned how long you've been working with the platform. What made you realize that you wanted this to be your platform as opposed to just like an issue that you kind of cared about?
Well, that's kind of a funny story. So I had a coach named Kaylee Schwab, and she's local here in Northwest Arkansas.
Mhm.
But I used her to prepare for the Arkansas title of junior teen, and then I used her as I was kind of going into nationals that first year. And she looked at me and she said, "So, in every other system besides NAM, it's pretty much required that you have a platform. So, let's form one now so you can find something that you're passionate about." And I said, "Okay, well, I don't really know what that's going to be."
Yeah.
So, I went, I slept on it, and I thought, you know what? Out of all the things in the world, Alzheimer's is probably going to be it because there's not a whole lot of advocacy like compared to everything else like cancer and things like that, but there's a lot of need and there's a lot of gaps in that like research and music field combining. So I wanted to make that my platform and here we are. So that's super cool.
No, definitely. And it's so funny how that works out sometimes. You
Hmm.
don't always know exactly what you're passionate about. In fact, what are you passionate about is a pretty loaded question.
It is.
And most times, individuals don't know where to even start with that. Well, nice. What's been your favorite moment? We'll come back to that. I have another question having exactly with that. I promise I'm not just like changing. But have you had like a favorite moment in your work through this platform so far?
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. I have had several, but here's the most recent one that I think was pretty funny. I went to get donations from Walmart. I just bought a whole bunch of cheap earbuds, but they were still functioning.
Yeah.
Um, I had an earbud donation drive, and obviously I took money with that. And so I had donated the earbuds to a local memory care center. And I think I donated about 100 the first time around. And then with that money that I had accumulated over that time period, I went to Walmart and I got, I want to say 120 earbuds, which was crazy. So I rolled up to the front with this shopping cart and everybody was like, "Oh my Lord, what is she doing?"
I was about to say you must have caught some eyes.
Yeah, I did, but it was super fun, and I had to stand there and individually scan each one out, which took a while, but it was fun.
Don't you think you could have like taken the time to count how many you had and then just scanned it that many times?
I could have, but people kept coming up and talking to me and where they were like, "Oh my gosh, what is this for? What is this for?" So,
Gotcha.
I
Best
would
to
have
keep it
probably
real.
forgotten.
No, I understand that. That's really funny. I'm glad that you've gotten the opportunity to do that as well. It's amazing that you accumulated enough to supply that many earbuds.
Yeah, it was awesome. A lot of it just came from really generous people, and I didn't ask for some of the money. Actually, they came up to me and said, "Hey, we heard on Instagram or Facebook or whatever that you had this platform, and I had a grandmother or a mom or a dad who was affected by Alzheimer's." And so that was really, really cool just to see how big a need there really is and how widespread the Alzheimer's community is.
No, completely. And like you mentioned earlier, it's not something that is talked about nearly as often as equally large issues such as cancer.
Mhm.
Um, but there's a lot of education that still needs to be out in the world and
Mhm.
applied to the mass community.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy that you're doing this. And obviously, I'm sure you are as well. And along that same line, how would you say that having this platform has impacted your life?
Well, it definitely brought me closer to my grandmother, and my grandfather was her full-time caregiver for a while, and her mother actually also had dementia and Alzheimer's, which was really difficult because she was older and didn't exactly have the amount of support that my grandmother had. So he was trying to kind of balance being a caregiver for both of them, and then he eventually had to, unfortunately, put my great grandmother in a nursing home. But for a while, that really consumed his life, and he didn't have anybody to talk to on a daily basis. Like if you had a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, then you would be able to bounce ideas off of them. And he didn't have that. So it really brought that to light, and it just kind of softened my heart because it made me realize how, number one, lucky I am that I don't have to take care of an Alzheimer's patient. But number two, it just made me realize how much we could possibly help those people in that community. And actually, like I mentioned, I was the Alzheimer's advocacy chair, and we just got done with what's called the National Forum. And that's where we bring a bunch of legislation to our state and local representatives. And one of those bills that we were trying to pass was I don't remember the name exactly, but it was trying to gain greater support for caregiver education. And that was super cool because I, again, have connection directly to that.
No, that is absolutely spectacular and incredibly important. I cannot stress how vital that is. That's awesome. I'm glad you've had that opportunity as well. I've said that so many times, but you've had so many awesome opportunities.
I have.
Yeah. What do you think it is about music as opposed to other art forms? Like, obviously, other art forms have different skills
Mhm.
and value to give, but what do you think it is about music that makes it so vital specifically to this issue?
I really don't know. I am going to do research at the University of Arkansas, hopefully, with Alzheimer's, and I'll hopefully get a chance to explore that more like on a scientific level. But I think that there's so much that music has to offer, and I'm sure that you know that completely because hello, that's your platform. But um I think that the difference between music and art or dancing or playing an instrument is that like singing and just being able to express yourself in that way is really the basis of life. At least for me it is, and for a lot of others it is as well. And I think that like dancing, it's a lot harder to dance without music. It's a lot harder to draw a painting if you don't have somewhere where that inspiration comes from. But music is that inspiration for so many people.
I completely agree. So often I would begin to paint something solely because I would be listening to a song and it
Mhm.
would spark color in my mind.
Yeah.
And not, there's a certain, not disorder, but condition where you can like hear
See?
color. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? I don't
Yeah.
remember what it's called. I know that I don't have that. We'll I think I don't have that. But
Uh-huh.
I would always find inspiration for painting in music. I would always find character inspiration through music. And that would lead me further down the trail of storytelling where I could really discover, okay, well, now that I've painted this, now that I've added these colors, now that I have this character's style, what's behind that? Why did I create this the way that I did? And what more lies beyond the surface? And I'd always be able to dive deeper. And on a scientific level, please correct me if I'm wrong, anyone watching, I believe it has something to do with the rhythms and the different tones,
Mhm.
as well as I want to say that the brain holds on to melody much easier than nearly anything
Yeah.
else. But again, I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that this happens with other art forms as well, but like if you think about how happy music can make you or how hyped up it can make you before you like go on a stage or you're talking to somebody else or whatever it is, it can release dopamine in your brain, which literally triggers you to,
Yeah,
remember it. So,
it just lights your brain up like a Christmas tree. It's amazing. And I love that so much. And it's just one of the many things that makes music as well as just overall arts so amazing. There's
mhm,
nothing else that really pulls that out of people like the idea of creation or indulging in creation.
mhm.
My whole heart is out on the line right here. Well, okay.
Cool.
I think I only have one more question for you, and it's actually the one that I was going to ask you earlier.
Okay.
What would you say to someone who's still looking for their passion and who wants to get involved in their community but doesn't really know where to start?
Well, that question is kind of why I wanted to go back to NAM this year and win the title. I really wanted to be an inspiration for others of all ages, and whether they're a girl or a guy or whatever, because it is so important. Like, we were all put on this earth for a reason by God. I mean, we wouldn't be here if we didn't have a purpose on the world. So I
Amen.
think it's important that everybody discovers what they're passionate about, whether that is their end purpose or not. And I would say that number one, you should try National American Miss because it is awesome. And you should go to UNM too because it's also awesome.
Subtle
But
plug.
if you don't want to do a pageant or you, for whatever reason, can't attend, you should try to just branch out in your community, find different organizations. Like for me, it was the Alzheimer's Association, or you could, I don't know, go to a club in your school or something like that and just take baby steps and just kind of see if that's the path you want to go down. Because if it ends up not being, like if I didn't have a passion for Alzheimer's after all, then you could go somewhere else and do something else. Like I could have gone to a soup kitchen or a food pantry or something else and very well found my passion there.
No, completely agree. And it's
Yeah.
really cool, specifically with your platform, because of first of all, how you got introduced to the idea of platforms. But I love that you, after thinking about it more, found a need
Mhm.
and you found reasons to be there and reasons why you should try and make a difference and ways that you could make a difference. And then it just expands. So great job. I'm very proud of you. I
Thank you.
love your platform and I love what you've been able to do through it. And I wish you nothing but love and luck moving
Thank
forward.
you. I actually have a question for you.
Okay.
So, for my viewers who kind of know a little bit about Arts for Alzheimer's, what is your platform, Arts Matter to Us, and what's kind of your story informing that?
So, Arts Matter to Us, or Serving with Heart, is more along the lines of general arts advocacy and inspiring others to use their artistic talents to serve in their communities and connect with people on that level. The arts have been a consistent part of my life, primarily through dance and drawing, but I also enjoy singing, community theater, and want to be an actress when I grow up. I know what the arts have been able to do for me as an outlet of expression and communication where words don't always fit. And in turn, I know what effect they can have on other people. So, through that, I want to make sure that all people know the vitality of the arts in our society when so often they get overlooked or pushed aside versus other more prominent subjects, as well as letting them know the impact they can have on individual lives.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's so important too. That, I mean, obviously, anyone who's been in high school knows that the arts don't exactly get the same funding as sports do. Not to trash on sports or anything,
No,
but
but just anybody who's been in public school as a whole, I think too, yeah.
yeah, and it's just so important. Like, sports aren't for everyone to participate in, but the arts can be. And yeah, I love that you said that it fills in where words can't, because that is so true. And it just, I don't know, sometimes there aren't any words to describe anything, but like a sound or an instrument or something can describe it perfectly.
No, completely. And it's super ironic that I said that too, because I also enjoy writing poetry a lot.
Oh, yeah.
All words, but my point still stands. And yes, I'm glad that you agree.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Well, thank you again so much for your time today. I'm going to go ahead and
Thank you
end this
for
now.
having me.
Of course. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.